Okay. Next, we have Shiran Kleiderman. He's the co-founder and CEO of Xplorisk. And Shiran has over 20 years of experience in cybersecurity, application security, and secure architecture. He's an experienced technical and business-oriented cybersecurity and cryptocurrency expert, also Web3. And he's also the CSO, CTO, and CIO. And the question I have for you, Shiran, is when do you sleep?
So those some of those were in the past. Yeah, currently very focused on what we're going to present here. But yeah, you'll see, and we'll talk about it. Web3 and crypto doesn't sleep, so that's a different problem. Yeah. Cool. I have control, yeah.
No, I'm going to do it for you.
Okay, perfect.
At the moment. Yeah.
So we're going to talk about Web3 and the supporting Web2 connections that support, at the end of the day, the Web3 infrastructure. Yes, so the Ledger attack, the Yoad discussed, yeah, and SLSA. I'm going to talk about it from more of the CISO perspective of how things are seen in Web3 environments. Yes, in Web3, these times are really defining times. Yeah, DeFi from the decentralized finance acronym or perspective. We saw the Bitcoin ETF. We're going to start trading soon in the US on the stock market and such. And things are, yes, evolving and most importantly, maturing from the security perspective and the whole compliance and risk mitigation perspective. Now, the opportunity, very clear. Yeah, some will call it a revolution. Some will call it an evolution, a bridging between the traditional finance world and the centralized and decentralized finance worlds of Web3, of crypto. And in order to make this a better reality, yes, and to create mass adoption, yes, this needs to be compliant, secure, stable, and scalable. We'll see throughout, when we talk about CISOs, chief security officers, in crypto or in Web3, they're not only firewalls. They need to understand in the money movement, in the financial aspects, a lot. And here specifically in Web3, they're very involved. And this, yes, it's a growing industry, meaning today, there are not a lot of CISOs or heads of security in crypto. And very soon, there will be more. That's really the vector and also the need. Okay.
And Shiran, you can just accept control and you'll be able to advance the slides.
Okay. Can you press it again? Because I saw it and click.
No, I think you can do it. Go ahead and advance the slide. There you go.
Perfect. Cool. So from really centralized software, just a high level of what Web3, what it brings from the technology perspective. So yes, from very centralized Excel-based, you can say, systems, yeah, moving, of course, to the cloud and all the technologies and such that were discussed in previous sessions, and then bringing more distributed blockchain-related technology that's very transparent, visible, immutable, the integrity, we'll talk about that in the connection of SLSA and such, of processes. The integrity is very clear from the technical perspective, and you could test it in a scalable and very mature, you could say, in transparent way. But still, new technology, new business processes, adoption from various perspectives. Therefore, there is room for improvement from the security, from how you manage such a battlefield at the end of the day, which, like you'll see, is comprised of Web3 custom, you could say, code and technologies, and then the supporting Web2 technologies in the tech stack. Now, the business goal, it's pretty clear, but it's important to highlight from the financial perspective, or if we're talking about financial services, yes, to give global unconditional access to financial instruments that you see here, from purchasing of crypto, turning rewards / yield, lending and borrowing, swapping between coins and such. And like I said, for mass adoption at the end of the day, and in order that people trust this, yeah, and we see a lot of incidents, yes, the security aspects and the risk mitigation aspects need to be just in place, mature, streamlined, and at scale. And this is really our job today and going forward. So an example decentralized app, and this is very similar. And you see there's no login here, really. You connect your wallet. The connection of the wallet is the login, you could say, and your identity, meaning the private key that you have stored on the end wallet, if it's a local wallet or on an exchange or various applications and such. And at the end of the day, in a very easy manner, because we talked about global access, easy access, you have access to financial instruments, to financial data, to financial activity, money movement at scale, and therefore this needs to be protected. Now, the barrier of entry, and we'll talk about it, is relatively low and easy, meaning today to spin up such technologies, you need to understand how this world works. You can fork current projects. Yeah, you need to understand in cryptographic key management, of course, in the financial aspects, and you could launch this. Yeah, very lean startup that at the end of the day manages a lot of money. Now, when we look at crypto organizations, exchanges like Binance and Coinbase and various other organizations that belong to traditional finance, CeFi, DeFi, under the hood, this is how some of these environments look like. Very diverse from the operations, managing of internal wallets, connections, integrations, well, the counterparties they see on the right, exchanges and staking, over-the-counter trading, external asset managers, managing of blockchain nodes, blockchain validators, and then on the left, the more, you could say, retail side, and the regular Web2 client web apps and mobile apps and code repos and such. So a CISO at the end of the day that needs to manage this, or any organization that needs to manage this, there are a lot of details here, very new Web3 components, and of course the supporting Web2 components that, yes, the security is advancing, but we see every day there's a new hack. Doesn't matter what the attack vector is, but bottom line, even with all the cybersecurity and visibility and control and such, attacks are still happening. Now, zooming in more, this is a Web3/Web2 stack. Most of the components here, the decentralized apps and NFTs and smart contracts and the custom or unique programming languages and such, these are part of the supply chain. Now, what we saw previously in the previous slide, and we'll see going forward in crypto, almost everything is a supply chain or counterparty problem or risk. Why? Because outside of, I have Bitcoin and I'm putting it under the rug or in a vault in cold storage, as you call it, everything is outsourced. Everything is connected to some kind of counterparty risk, even more than in the current SaaS and cloud and such ecosystem. And when you tie this counterparty risk to money and funds and such, of course, the things are much more sensitive. Now, summing up this part before we go into some use cases and attacks and such, like I said, the barrier of entry is relatively low, meaning you could put an organization that manages billions of dollars on a discount key, or two people and a dog and such. So the barrier of entry to crypto, relatively low. Yes, a lot of projects that were hacked, you just fork the project. The famous big projects that manage billions and tens and hundreds of billions, you could say, people fork it, deploy, and then you fork also the problems. But the bottom line is in crypto, with the tech that's been developed and decentralization and the fact that you don't need offices and such, and other people run the servers and nodes and such, you can really run the organization from a discount key, give or take, literally even, and this is important. The barrier of entry, and then the barrier of supply chain and counterparty risk. So yes, CISOs in Web3, they talk about supply chain, but they talk more about counterparty risk because it's more of a financial Wall Street, maybe, term, because almost everything, even in Web3 gaming and such, everything is connected to funds. So supply chain equals counterparty risk. This is why also the CISO is very involved in the financial aspects, and you protect at the end of the day from economic or financial attacks, mostly. Like I said, even if it's gaming, Web3 gaming, or play to earn, or data sharing and such, because you get tokens in return. And this is very important. It's not only, okay, I'm configuring a database and I don't really care what's inside. Here, like you see in this image, the various aspects of the financial or economic guarantees and aspects. Consensus in crypto is approving transactions and making the network secure. And then, of course, the integrity and secrecy and signing of transactions of the crypto part, the cryptographic part, everything is mixed and built in, meaning atomic. And that's why the CISO, compliance officer, risk manager, they need to work very, very together. And you can't split these 3, 4 onion layers and say, okay, we'll deal with them down the road. You need to deal with them together. Otherwise, you're attacked. Yeah. So Web3, the supply chain challenges or the counterparty risk, like we understand, and this is the nice part, but also you could say the tough part, everything in crypto is super 24/7. Yeah. You don't close the bank at 5 or 6 p.m. So you could count how much money you have in the cashier or approve withdrawals and such. Yeah. Everything is live 24/7, distributed, like we said, heavy reliance, and the immutable nature, meaning that code cannot be changed easily, or the transactions that are happening on the blockchain are just tattooed there, yeah, and no one can change them. Now, this immutable nature, it offers, like you see in the second point, security benefits, but also problems, because everything is tattooed or rooted to the blockchain or to these smart contracts that at the end of the day, they're pieces of codes or scripts that manage financial operations, lending and borrowing, deposits and withdrawals, swapping of coins. If you deploy a smart contract with a mistake, fixing it on the fly, is hard at times, because you'll need to disclose, and then maybe someone, when you disclose, will exploit the 0-day or vulnerability. So it's not easy to do hot fixes, bottom line, like we do today in the cloud or websites and such, because it impacts various processes and the user base at the end of the day. And because the decentralized world is like we saw in the beginning with the whales, it belongs to the community. No one can change whatever they want whenever they want. And we'll talk about that. Therefore, when you deploy problems, the problem to mitigate or do a hotfix at times, it's not easy at all. And this is what we need to deal with. Now, like we said, barrier of entry, anyone can get into crypto relatively quickly. And also, people put funds at times. So connecting to the SLSA framework, continuous security, yes, the trust in life, in crypto, in financial services, trust is number one. And yes, establishing, verifying, and then continuous. And this is what also our company and the motto, you could say, or the methodologies are all about, continuous trust. One of the key points that I want to highlight here is the 2-person review, okay? So where does this 2-person review come from even, yeah? So in regular financial services, there's the principle, and also before, probably 300 years and more of banking, there's the 4 eyes principle, yeah? In order to move funds, in order to move money, in order to do some kind of action financially, before tech, yeah, you need 2 people, 4 eyes. So this is a very good financial principle that in crypto, with multiple approvers for a transaction and in order to move funds and such, which crypto and Web3 people and protocols, yes, the whole concept of multi-signature and multi-party computation and such, that's for another talk. Yes, it's very important. to the industry, and a lot of the processes have these 4 eyes principle and more, 10 eyes and even more, in order to do changes or in order to move funds and such. In code, same principle, that we should really more and more with a person in the loop at times, and at times you could say semi-automated or fully automated, but yes, with the balances and the various controls, the principle of 2-person review and more before you push things to production and make changes. This is pretty ingrained in crypto, in the concept, or in Web3, not always followed on the financial and on the tech code part. But yes, this is something that all organizations should highlight this all the time before pushing anything to production, before doing any changes, before, yes, incorporating an external package and such even. This 4-eye principle is super, super important. And then the second point, the last point here, and we'll see it in the next slides, the SBOM piece, but taking SBOM to the Web3 level, meaning not only have an inventory of assets, code assets and artifacts and such, and tech, but taking it to the context, dynamic, controlling all the dependencies and assets within a given environment, mainly because, like we understand, it's decentralized, and open source you could say, by default, yes, and most of these don't pass, for good and for bad, SOC 2 and ISO and various other kinds of certifications or attestations and such. Cool. So yes, one of the biggest platforms today, you could say, on Web3, Uniswap, manages tens of billions of funds that interact with this platform, people swapping and depositing and staking and doing various actions on financial actions, Web3 related on this platform. At the end of the day, when you take it apart to pieces, yes, the SBOM piece, but from who are the users also, and who are the counterparties and dependencies and various types of assets, this is important to really understand, what are they using under the hood? Because at the end of the day, Uniswap, core platform to crypto, uses hundreds and even more of dependencies and types of assets, meaning Gnosis Safe proxy that you see here. Gnosis Safe is a multi-signature wallet, and proxy admin, it's an admin function for specific smart contract actions and such. So the key takeaway, and something that needs to improve in Web3, also in Web2, but here the focus, you could say, is Web3, is, okay, who are all these dependencies by their type, by the risk, by the classification and such, okay? And yes, understanding these are things that the previous presenters, and also probably after, they're like pros at this, reachability, and how does this impact the business, and technically, and am I exposed to this? Doing what you do today in Web2, just in Web3, in different context, with the understanding, and this is key, of the financial aspects, the business bypass or the business logic. Because in order to read this map, when you're doing a due diligence, you need to understand the business aspects. It's not only a technical drill or exercise. And then a concept, that we're bringing to Web3, and yes, it needs to mature more in Web3, and it's connected, let's say, in our way to the attestations before of SLSA and such. Web2 and traditional cyber IOCs, indicators of compromise, we all know, very clear, hashes and IPs and domains and other kinds of signatures and Yara signatures and whatever, very clear. In crypto, this is kind of a new concept, or something that we need to do more with other types of entities, meaning these are malicious smart contracts. These are malicious dependencies. These are malicious users, wallets, and the whole tech stack that we saw before. And then in a very concrete way, meaning not to spam organizations, and yes, to create these large databases of threat intelligence feeds like we had in the past, which are good for various purposes, but also, yes, the false positives that arise from them and such. Yes, doing this in a very concrete way, also per Web2 concepts that are very good today, reachability and impact analysis, and not only, okay, there's something that the IOC database doesn't like, so we won't use it, or we'll shut down the system or something. Really understanding the impact, the potential to exploit and such. Okay. Another example, this is supply chain, code supply chain that's hybrid to on and off chain, you could say types of attacks. Yeah. At the end of the day, we talk about blockchain, on-chain transactions, everything is visible, everything is on the chain, and a lot of the hacks, most of them, yeah, happen in that way. So something that we saw now, yeah, and this is, you could say, a big problem for various people, and because various new types of attacks are just being introduced, is instead of me just through the application that we saw before, yeah, you'll connect your wallet to an on-chain site, and then you'll sign on-chain, yeah, in various ways. And again, I could create that signature or make you execute the signature in various ways, phishing and a fake site, and sending you even through clickjacking, you could say type attacks, yeah, or even clipboard jacking type attacks, putting something else that I want you to sign. These are attacks, or this specific attack, which the world also in the industry is starting to elaborate much more, yeah, through lookalike domains and various other social engineering attacks. You're not even signing it on chain. So the signature, yeah, and that something is happening, something malicious is happening currently on chain isn't visible right away, because you're signing something off chain and then you're sending it to the hacker and then they're publishing it. So there are various, you could say, obfuscation and also confusion mechanisms and attack vectors used here. And this is supply chain, you could say 101, very similar to the Ledger attack that was described, just with various other mechanisms of blockchain technology, off-chain, lookalikes in between, yeah, and such. And this affects thousands of users at the end of the day. Now, another example, and why this is a code example also, yeah, why the CISO at the end of the day needs to understand the financial assets. Meaning, let's say you work at a hedge fund or something, and they ask, can we deal with this specific Binance Web3 token, BWT? So you need to understand that the function here, and here it's literally even spelled out, excluded from reward. Yeah, at the end of the day, the name is very revealing, but you need to understand the financial code that if you put money on this token, you won't be able to withdraw or to move the funds, because it's a honeypot at the end of the day, as you see by what's detected here, and also from social media after the fact. So the supply chain attacks, the financial understanding, yeah, the reading of the code needs to be very, very exact. It's not only code that we've seen in attacks or code that steals cookies or such. It's very supply chain, it's very financial related. Now, yes, we're towards the end, where you see unverified risk factors. Like we said, smart contracts are public, yeah, and all their code is public. But when you see unverified, this smart contract, its code wasn't published, yeah, in any public way or such. It's hidden at the end of the day. And here, of course, any user in which they can read, even like regular users, yeah, they won't read the code, but if they understand that there's an unverified tag here or type of analysis, then this is something that you shouldn't interact with. Another example, and we'll wrap things up. Here, this hacker, they want to target, at the end of the day, a specific crypto entity, a specific coin. Every coin or token at the end of the day, or most of them, Bitcoin and such are different stories, but on Ethereum and such, the back end of it is a smart contract. So you target these smart contracts with other smart contracts. So what we saw here specifically is him trying to attack it, to brute force, you could say, the exploit. So he's deploying, this is the equivalent of command and control servers that we have today and such, and other types of, you could say, proxies that hackers spin up in order to target the other side. So here you also see, in order to target something financial, you need money. So they moved funds to the wallet through Tornado Cash. Tornado Cash is a mixer. You don't understand or you can't attribute the transaction to the person, or it's very hard. So they're trying to mask things up in order to create this, you could say, brute force attack on the contract. So yes, summing things up, the paradigm shift, or again, just making things happen. You don't need to shift anything. Is yes, when there's a DeFi protocol, when there's a crypto entity, a smart contract, staking and such in front of us, the security posture assessment of the protocol, the supply chain, the more physical supply chain part of who are the entities behind it, 2 people and a dog, or 1 person without a dog, or 100 people from North Korea. Yeah, you should understand the physical, the more physical or online supply chain part of it, analysis, and then ongoing continuous monitoring, but more important, prevention, and not dealing with the things after the fact. And yes, in summary, like I said, heads of security, CISOs and such in this world, they're not only cybersecurity, SDLC, supply chain, cryptography people. They need to work very closely with compliance, anti-money laundering, sanctions, fraud. They need to understand crypto movement, asset management and accounting, the financial aspects. And this is really collaborative work. Yeah. So the modern day Web3 CISO, yeah, he's not only, or she is not only a firewall, you can say. You really need to understand in the financial aspects. And that's that. If you have any questions or later. Yeah.
Well, Shiran, I can tell you, going back to your story of 4 eyes, you have these 2 eyes incredibly interested in what you've done, and I'm sure all the other pairs of eyes that are on this call. Make sure to submit your questions in the Q&A of this Zoom, and we'll get to them after we're all done. But I had one quick point, which is, can you just kind of elaborate on where you would prioritize and allocate resources regarding Web 3.0? Because, no one has time or money to do everything.
Yeah. So what we're talking about targets at the end of the day, or traditional finance companies, regular hedge funds that have now investments or a leg in Web3 and crypto, more classic crypto/Web3 exchanges like Coinbase, big and small, yeah, various sizes, and then the DeFi protocols. Now, there are a lot of use cases today, cross-border payments and treasury management, and we understand diversification of assets, yeah. Not every year makes, hundreds or tens of percentages on your investment, like this year for Bitcoin and such. But yeah, we're in a world of yes, diversification of assets. PayPal is into crypto, yeah. Of course, the more native crypto and Web3 companies are in this. So there's a lot of money / data and assets in the world that need to be protected. They need to be compliant. Things need to be done in real time and not after the fact. We see various hacks, and it's very good that 10 years or 8 years after the hack, the money is retrieved. That's perfect, yeah. But a lot of this money, of course, isn't retrieved. And yeah, this is complementary or augmenting the current financial system. We saw Bitcoin ETF and such. Therefore, yeah, much more maturity and methods, yeah, and process and controls, of course, need to be applied. So,
wow. Yeah, unbelievable. Well, thanks so much. That was just absolutely incredible and really relevant. And so